It's Two on the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of Joan of Arc, Into the Fire, Wakey Wakey, Amelie, Arthur Miller's The Price, and the Drama Desk nominations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two on the Aisle. Hello, Leslie.
Hello, Charlie.
How are you tonight?
Well, we've just come rushing from Hello, Dolly to get here. I'm fine, thank you.
Hello, Dolly, which got
10 Drama Desk nominations this morning.
Yes.
10, the top of the list on that.
Drama Desk, which Leslie and
possible
I are
Tony indicator
both
on
happy,
that,
both,
right?
both very proud to be part of.
Yes, very much
They
so.
came up with the interesting nominations.
But neither of us is on the nominating committee, so
No.
when we talk about these, there's somebody else's ideas of what should be the
Right, but
top.
we will be voting.
We will be
for
voting,
the,
yes.
For the final. Anastasia, 9. Come From Away, also 9.
Yes.
Harry Ape, 8. Bandstand, 7.
Which is closed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
And the Band's Visit, which I think is also closed.
and there's a group of them that got 7. The Band's Visit, as you said, The Little Foxes, which is wonderful.
Right.
War Paint. Sweeney Todd, which we haven't seen yet. We're hoping to
Right,
see
we're
it.
hoping that we will. I was very pleased that Sutton Foster was nominated for
Yes.
Sweet Charity.
Yes.
I'm kind of sorry Sweet Charity was not nominated for Best Revival.
Well, why don't we go back and look at some of the things,
But
some of the shows?
Here is one thing that did stand out to
Yes.
me: the Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson, based on the book,
right.
got 3 nominations. That's very unusual for a children's show. We
Yes.
saw some nice children's shows
Yes.
this year.
But 2 years ago, a children's show, the name of which I don't remember, but it was by Zena, some people from Cabaret World did a show that was a children's show that got some
Right.
nominations. So, depends. I think this has a lot of effects. In fact, I think the effects have also been nominated. So
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing
we're
it.
both going to see it next week, right? So,
So, outstanding play, If I Forget, Indecent, which we saw off Broadway last year. I know you liked it.
and
I was
on Broadway
lukewarm.
as well, yeah.
A Life.
Which I went to see because I bought a ticket because Adam's a friend of mine. I'm so happy that happened for him.
Okay.
And that starred David Hyde Pierce, whom we saw tonight in
Hello,
Dolly.
Dolly, yes.
Yes.
Oslo, which we both liked off Broadway
see it
last
again
year.
now,
and
coming up
I'm
to
looking
see
forward to
that.
seeing it again, yes. And Sweat, which we covered in our last
And
show.
which won the Pulitzer Prize. So,
And deservedly so.
Yes, absolutely. And outstanding musicals. Anastasia, which I just saw and loved. We can talk about that later. The Harry Ape, which I didn't see.
No, that's
Jitney,
not a
which is-
musical.
Jitney, which has friends of mine
We're
in
talking
it.
outstanding musical now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on Revival.
Anastasia.
I jumped one.
The Band's Visit. I was surprised to see that one. I enjoyed
I was
it.
happy to see it. It was a lovely, small musical, yes.
Right. Come Far Away.
Come From Away.
Come From Away. And The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson movie, and which, again, very unusual for
And
children's musicals.
Hadestown, which I saw, and I don't know whether you saw it or not. And it was Patrick Page was in it. Did you? You didn't get to see it. I don't
I
think.
did not. I'm hoping.
It's very interesting.
I'm
Down
hoping
at-
Lincoln Center recorded
Down
it so
at
that
New York
I will.
Theater Workshop, they might have it at the library, and we may be able to catch it there.
Right.
Now we go down to Revival of a Play. I got in the middle of that before. It's the front page. The Harry Ape, Jitney, which has friends of ours, and we had Harvey here. We did an interview with Harvey from Jitney.
We did, and we both like Jitney.
And we both like Jitney very much.
Little Foxes, which you have not covered yet, but I saw it.
You saw the one cast. I got to see both.
Right,
yes.
so I'm very curious. We'll be doing that on an upcoming
Yes,
show. I'm very curious to hear
we'll
your.
do She said on that one.
Right.
Master Harold and the Boys and Picnic from the Transport Group, which
Right.
just closed.
Okay.
Just closed this past weekend. And then outstanding musical revival was Falsettos,
Right.
Hello, Dolly, Sweeney Todd, Sweet Charity.
Sweet Charity. Oh, it was nominated. My
Yes,
mistake.
it was.
My mistake.
was.
I was looking at it and I didn't see it in the.
It was nominated and she was nominated. So,
And
Tick,
deservedly
Tick, Boom.
so.
And Tick Tick Boom, which was a
Which
nice
was an
thing for the
excellent,
music.
excellent
Yes,
production.
yes.
I really
Better than the
enjoyed it. That
original, I
was
think.
by the author of Rent.
So now we have the outstanding actor.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna.
We're going to stop there?
I think we're gonna stop there. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
The
look.
one thing I will say, the presentation, Laura Benatti was one of the announcers.
Yes.
Someday, some producer's going to put her on stage reading a phone book and make a fortune.
Yes.
One problem, good luck finding a phone book.
Yes, right. She is a wonderful actress. And
Yes.
if you want to see any more of these nominations, go to Theater Mania. They're listed all there.
Right.
And come see the show in May if you feel like
June.
coming to see the show.
In June.
In June. Oh,
In June.
in June. Sorry.
In June, it will be. You can buy tickets. Unlike the Tonys, you can get tickets to see the drama
Yes.
desks.
Yes.
Or Theater Mania will be streaming it.
Yes, they will be streaming it, but you can also buy tickets to the after party, which is kind of fun. So Take a
You'll
look
get
at
to
what's
see Leslie.
available. Yeah, I'll be there. Hello.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about something that I don't think had any nominations.
I know it didn't. Yeah, I think she got a nomination.
Okay.
I think. I'll
okay.
look while you're
She
doing that.
being Joan of Arc, and this being a very talented singer, and oh my goodness.
Joe Lampert.
Joe
is her
Lampert.
name, yes.
This is, of course, the story of Joan of Arc, a woman who hears, a young woman, she was like a teenager.
No, she didn't get a nomination.
Well, she should have.
She was a teenager. She was a very young girl.
Right, and she heard voices, and she basically saved France. And
Today
then,
she would have been locked up.
I'm sorry?
Today she would have been locked up.
Well, she was locked up then, too.
Then, I mean, well, not locked up, but she would have been given mental health, treatments
Right. Well,
of some sort.
well, her apparently her qualifications, your qualifications was that you had to be a virgin for a woman to be a prophet. Although, if you look in the Bible, both Deborah, who was a prophetess, one of the judges, was married, and Miriam, Moses' sister, was also married. They were both prophets.
But if they were married, it wouldn't matter that they weren't virgins. The idea was if you were not married, then you had to be a virgin. I think that's what the point of it is.
Okay,
I'm thinking.
I don't know, but they emphasized, and she had to get
in any
checked
case,
twice.
let's get back to
anyway,
this, because
she's thrown under the bus. Basically
under the bus.
Well, she is by
That wouldn't be as
by
bad as what
France.
they did
She
to her.
wants to expand on her plans. She is thrown, tried, ultimately burned, and then later on made a saint. It's a very how shall we? Well, it's a rock type musical.
It's
very,
by David Byrne.
Look at this cover here. Can we? Yeah. Look at the cover, and you can see this is kind of a punk rock type Joan of Arc, but the music is accessible. It is music lyrics by David Byrne, and the real catch here is to see her as Joan. She is. I think this is her theater debut. First time I have ever seen her, and she is just wonderful.
She was astonishing, and she was very charismatic, which of course is necessary.
Joe Lampert, yes.
And she's brutalized on stage. I mean,
Yes.
as Joan was brutalized, which is.
And they show that.
And
They're
she's
not
only
pulling
one of
punches.
two females in the entire cast. There's her, and then there's an older woman who plays her mother, and also
Right.
plays somebody else. But it's intriguing because we know the story going in. I mean, you know what's going to happen to her.
Marie
There's no
Whittingham.
suspense.
Right.
Unfortunately, maybe there could have been a more suspenseful way of doing it, but it wasn't done that way. And Stephen Hoggett's choreography, I always loved his choreography. He did Once that we loved, and he has a particular style, a lot of stomping, and it's a particular kind of thing. It lost me here. It didn't. The director was Alex Timbers, and he and Stephen Hoggett, I think they worked. Maybe they never worked together, but Alex Timbers did Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, and that was exciting.
Well, it's got the same kind of kinetic staging that.
But it wasn't exciting to me. There was a lack, except when she was on stage.
Yeah. Well, well, she was the character. He was the main character. She was the only real character that had any strength.
Yeah.
You had the King of France. You had the English. You had. The priest, etc., and you have several people playing several roles.
Well, everybody
this,
doubled the
Sean,
British and the French. They all
Sean
played both.
Alan Krill as the bishop.
Mayor
Competent
Winningham,
performances.
by the way, was the other woman. Mayor Winningham,
I said
the
that.
famous actress. I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry. I was busy thinking.
Right. I thought I said it. Anyway, but the bottom line is it is only the character of Joan that really makes an impression. You have other people there. You have like the priest who puts her on trial, and he's sort of sympathetic, but not really, because they know they've got to.
Well, here's the deal.
They've got to get rid of her one way or the other, basically.
Exactly. That's the whole
So
point.
she never
She never had a chance.
She never had a chance.
This makes me very angry. I went to Rouen. I saw the little statue of her that they made out of porcelain in the church of Rouen where she was burned. And it turned my stomach, and I had to leave.
Right.
I mean, thank you very much. Burn her and then build a statue to her. Something's wrong in this equation. And I couldn't get that out of my mind. Yeah, I think. And I couldn't get that out of my mind, and it spoiled the whole thing for me.
Honestly, Leslie, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think, well, honestly, that was her story.
Yeah,
and
that's
if
her
they had you
story.
feeling that way, they obviously were conveying it very well.
Well.
It's not a happy
Oh, no,
play,
no, no, no,
Leslie.
no, no. I'm not talking about the play. I'm talking about real life. I was talking about what really happened.
But yes, well, yes.
Which, of course, is what the play goes. There was
Yes.
one interesting thing I liked that they did, and that was that the soldiers wore French costumes on one side and British costumes on the other side, and they fought with each other. They fought with themselves, basically.
Right.
They would fight, and then they would turn around and be dead. That I thought was clever. That was the most clever thing, other than Joan, in the whole thing.
Right.
For me.
Okay,
So,
your conclusion.
oh, I would give Joan very high marks, but I would
Yes.
give the entire production.
In other words, you would give Joe as Joan.
I would give Joe Lampert a
Yes.
4.5. I'm giving the
Okay.
production a 2.5.
I would agree with you that she 4.5. I'm sorry she was not nominated
me too.
for the drama desk.
too.
Really, given her background, I wouldn't have expected something
Yeah.
like this, but I want to see more of this lady.
Yeah.
I absolutely do. And I will give the play 3.5 because I did enjoy it.
You know, something you just said about her not being nominated. The Drama Desk only nominate. The Drama Desk is the only group that nominates both Broadway and off-Broadway. So she's not going to get nominated
the
for
other
anything
critics.
else. Okay. But she may be nominated for an Obie, and I think she is. But she won't be nominated, she's up against, she would have been up against real Broadway type people, and that would have been.
Well, she was up against real Broadway type people.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so I have a real Broadway type person here. I have Michael Emerson, who's supposedly face down here. This is a play by Will Eno, and Will Eno is an interesting. Will Eno is an acquired taste, as we used to say about things like olives. In my house. But I want to
My
preface
house, we
this.
loved olives.
I want to preface this. This was at Signature, and we've seen a lot of shows at Signature. But the last two shows at Signature of that particular group, Wakey Wakey and Everyman, or Everything as it was called there, were both plays about death, and they were humorous plays about death. And James Houghton put them into the. James Houghton died last year of cancer, and he knew he was dying when he made up this program. So I think that he chose this play very carefully. It's a very short play. It's Michael is in a wheelchair. He comes out and he has little cards, and he's trying to talk about death, and he gets them mixed up, and he's very cute, and he fumbles them. But basically, it's a play about live your life, because you never know when you're not going to have it anymore. And that's why the guy on the cover is face down, and there's a little animal sitting next to him, a squirrel or a chipmunk. I'm not sure it was part of the story. But that's it. There's nothing more to really tell you. He looks at pictures of his past, and he remembers how fast it goes.
Not necessarily his past either.
Well, not necessarily, exactly. The idea is they're going to happen to all you. Yeah. And it does. Well, and that's the story. There's a larger picture of
And we
Wakey
needed to go to
Wakey
this play to see that, to know that?
I didn't know. Well, and then again, of course, there's a pun in the title of Wakey Wakey, because at a point you don't, right? I mean, that's...
Well, our Wakey Wakey experience was the first time we came to see the play. Someone was sick.
Yes.
And they don't have understudies.
It was Michael, actually. It was Michael, and there were no understudies.
They didn't say it. There is a second character, January Lavoie, who appears more or less toward the end.
Yeah,
this is essentially, she has some input, but essentially this is Emerson's show. Now, you probably will know him more from Lost or from a show that I really enjoyed, Person of Interest.
Yeah.
But he was
But he was off-Broadway.
Yes, Oscar
in
Wilde.
Gross Indecencies, and played Oscar Wilde.
And excellent.
Yes.
An excellent play.
I interviewed him back in those
I really
days. He was
enjoyed
wonderful.
that. And he
And I'm
gives
happy
a
to see him on
decent
stage again. It takes,
It's nice to see him on stage, but, you kind of... I'm thinking, gee, maybe we should bring on Laura Benatti on her phone book if we're going to have a one-person show that doesn't go anywhere, because this really didn't go. It looked interesting.
Well, it
started. I think at one point they dropped balloons into the audience. Well,
Yes.
balloons are always
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
But this
Again-
play becomes as confused as its character.
Again, Will Eno is an acquired taste. Some of his
Yes.
plays, Tom Paine, I
Well,
like much
we
better.
love olives in my family.
Yes.
But I have to say, I did not acquire the taste.
So where would
for
you
this
put
play.
this?
I would give this 2 playbills.
Again, I would take out Emerson, and I would say, 4 for Emerson, 2 for the play. That's and it's sad because I didn't care for the play. I'm older and I'm getting closer, and I've lost people recently, and I don't want to be reminded anymore. Maybe that's why I can't
So
get
let's
into that.
see. Teenagers being burned at the stake. and men talking about dying. Yeah, okay, got
These
it.
are things that are on my
So
list. Don't do it.
So let's cheer you up a
Yes.
bit.
Well, I wish that would cheer me
Well,
up, but
all right. Well,
Go
this
ahead,
is the
go ahead.
understand this season.
Yeah.
You know, some seasons we have the tragic musicals and the message musicals. This season we have the feel-good musical. So you have In Transit, which unfortunately both of us loved it.
Yeah.
It closed. I'm hoping there will be a cast album of it
Yeah,
because
I
I want to
agree.
buy it. This is an a cappella musical, take place in the subway.
right.
And
Well, the fact that it was an a cappella musical, I mean,
Right.
that in and of itself was
right.
it.
But just, people, yes, they have problems, but it works out fairly well.
And either the lyricist was half of the Frozen team. It was Roberto Lopez's wife. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. But
And we also, which we will be discussing in an upcoming show, come from away about 9/11, people landing in Canada, and everybody gets along more or less.
well, you're talking about feel-good stuff, yeah.
I am talking about feel-good stuff, and that is the category that we must put Amelie in. This is another feel-good musical, despite the fact that the leading character, played very nicely by Philippia Sue of Hamilton, doesn't start out so well. This is a young woman whose mother dies early, whose father, who is a doctor, thinks she has a weak heart, which, if it does, I think she outgrew it or whatever. Keeps her homeschooled, so she grows up very isolated. And as an adult, she becomes very isolated.
Well, except
Then-
she works in a pub.
She works as a waitress
She works
in a
in a
restaurant.
bistro,
This
yeah.
takes place in France at a time where payphones were still abundant. And that's important because
Does
that
it
figures it
list
in
the
the story.
time because it's magical realism and there is no time, as far as I know.
Setting 1975
Sorry,
to
it had a
1997,
time. Okay.
which was, I guess, a magical realism time, whatever.
Well, the play is magical realism, but
And she sort of falls into a situation where she helps someone. She reunites a man doing a little sleuthing when she finds a box in her new apartment with a box that he had put away with trinkets from when
You
he was a
don't have to
kid.
tell the whole
And she gets
story.
into, she decides she's going to anonymously help people.
that's it. That's the point
Right.
that we need to make, is that she
But-
wants to help people.
She finds a man and she falls in love with him.
Right.
And also involved
Always a bad thing to do.
Okay, well.
No, I'm making a joke.
Someone has been spending too much time in plays like Joan of Arc and Wakey Wakey.
I reckon.
So you go to something like this.
No, I got something
where
coming
it's
up.
where it's a nice, happy, feel-good musical.
But
I
it
lo-
wasn't. All right, here's the
Okay.
thing. It's based on a movie.
Yes.
It's a fake picture of Paris. When I saw the movie, I was offended because there was nobody of color in the movie. It was about Paris, and there was nobody but white people in it, and that's not Paris. I'm sorry. Paris looks like New York. Paris has neighborhoods that are all Arab. Paris has people from Tunisia. It made me very upset.
Okay.
However, this should have been so much better because Philippa Sue deserves so much better. She is brilliant. And she did The Great Comet, and she did Hamilton, and this was her third show in a season. And unfortunately for me, this did not make it at all. I loved the sets. I thought the sets had that crazy magical realism thing that we were talking about, but it was leaden. It was like nothing flew. Neither did she, and I was very sorry about that. Audrey Tautou was discovered playing that role. It made her career. This
David
was
Zinn
a.
did the sets.
Say it again.
David Zinn did the
Yes,
sets.
and he did a beautiful job.
Craig Lucas did the book.
And-
Daniel Macy did the music. And Nathan Tyson and Daniel Macy again
Craig
did
Lucas,
the...
Doug Wright, David Ives, many writers have come in to do musicals. And they do very, very well or not. I like Craig Lucas personally. I don't think he did justice to the original story. And I didn't care for the original story that much.
Okay. Well, I actually never saw the original
You never
play.
saw the play.
So,
the movie.
the
you mean,
movie.
Yeah.
So I just have this to go
Okay.
by. I found it enjoyable.
You might have liked it better in that case, yeah.
I might have. I might have, not knowing that there may
Right.
have been
Right.
something. Although I liked the movie once much better than the musical, even though I saw the movie after I saw the
No, I
musical.
love the
Interestingly.
musical of that. I was okay with that
Well,
one.
I was not, but that's for another
Be that as it-
discussion.
yes,
But
another-
this I did enjoy. I did like her performance. I thought it was a good performance. I liked the character. You kind of you're sitting there rooting. You're sitting
but
there
it was
rooting
let
for
me.
her.
You just said the magic word. It was a good performance. It should have been a brilliant performance. All of her other performances have been brilliant. This was good. And good is not good enough for her at this point because she's been brilliant. I've said my piece. That's it. I won't say any more about that.
Okay.
I love you, Philippa Sue.
Adam Chandler Barrett as the love
Yes,
interest?
very intriguing name.
Yes. Did you like him?
I did. I liked him. I didn't dislike anybody in particular. That's not the problem. I disliked the book of the play.
So you didn't feel good?
No. And you know what? The music, here's a question. Here's something that happened with the music. Several of the songs had certain notes that made me feel they were going to break into When I Grow Up from Matilda, and they never did. The music was semi-familiar, but not familiar enough, and then I heard the other song in my head, and it never went there. When I Grow Up was brought to mind twice or three times with different songs. So, you know, that was... I don't know who the writer of the music was.
Well, as I said, Danielle Mizzi.
I don't know who that is, though.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I don't know that person.
Okay.
I think they're new people.
I am shocked that there are people in the theater that you do not know personally.
I'm happy to see new writers get a chance.
Well, I'm glad.
I wish that they had better material.
Okay. Well,
And Pam McKinnon was the director.
I did enjoy this. I would give this 3 1/4 certainly.
I'd give it 2.5, and I'm not going to give special attention to anybody because nobody was specially attention worthy as far as I was concerned.
Not even the payphones?
No. Pam McKinnon did the directing, and Sam Pinkleton did
You know what they used to have in payphones?
I remember
Phone
payphones.
books.
They had phone books. Oh, yes. You want to give one to Laura Benanti. Some countries still have phone books. I get to introduce Arthur Miller's The Price, and you notice it's black and white, and it's very dramatic. But this was a very comic presentation of a revival of The Price, which was one of Arthur Miller's family plays. Very beautifully done, and it's totally ensemble, even though a lot of the actors are in and of themselves well known. It stars, in no particular order, Danny DeVito, Tony Shalhoub, whom we just saw in the band's visit that we were talking about.
Which got several Dramatist nominations.
And a beautiful production, I thought beautifully modulated by, and now I'm going to forget his name, I have to look at it. Who's the other star of this? Help me.
We're talking the star or the...
Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo. And a lovely performance by Jessica Hecht of a woman who is very conflicted. So that's the family. Danny DeVito is not part of the family. Tony Shalhoub, Mark Ruffalo, and Jessica Hecht are the family.
Well, we're talking 2 brothers and the wife. And the wife. One is a cop. The other is a very successful surgeon who's now divorced.
And hasn't been around for a very long time. And it's set in the attic of their father's home. And all the stuff is a tremendous, amount of stuff.
Yeah, they may have gotten it from that show that was playing downtown with all the...
Yeah, but this is real stuff. I mean, there's not just boxes. There's furniture.
Yeah, no, they have real, including a harp and
right,
all sorts of things.
So they call Tony Shalhoub is not involved in the beginning. It's Mark Ruffalo as the cop brother and his wife Jessica,
who gave up college and gave up a potentially more promising career to take care of his father.
To take care of Dad, right. And Jessica Hecht is the wife who has been long suffering and now sees the possibility of maybe getting something in return. And it's interesting because she's dressed in a Jackie Kennedy pink suit. It was amazing.
It does take place in the 60s.
It was an amazing suit.
And believe it or not, Danny DeVito is making his Broadway debut.
Yes, he has done stage downtown off Broadway.
Right. Well, we almost saw him in The Sunshine Boys.
Did we?
Well, he, I forget the actor's name. He played Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter movies, and he passed away, unfortunately.
Oh.
But they were set to bring that to Broadway.
Oh, I don't know who you mean, but I certainly saw the movie. I just don't know who
he was in History Boys.
Oh, the heavyset guy.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I can't think of his name.
And I'm sure that guy who flashes the credits is going to...
Lovely, yes, when you do that.
Yeah.
Yes, when the guy who flashes the credits, yes. Lovely actor, yes. Oh, I didn't realize they were going to do that. That'd be enormous. That would be like, wow, and tiny little... Okay, well... So Danny DeVito is brought in as
an appraiser.
An appraiser.
Or sales.
And it sounds very Jewish in this. I mean,
well, he sounds Jewish.
His name is Gregory Solomon. He's Jewish.
Oh, well, he's Jewish, but he sounds half Italian, which is
which is New York.
A third old Jew, a third Louis de Palmer, and a third something else that I can't quite put my finger on.
He takes stage no matter what's going on. When he's on stage, and every now and then he pops in from another place. When he's on stage, it's his show, and he makes the fun. When he's on, it's funny. The lines are not intrinsically funny. He just makes them funny, not because he's being a comedian, but because he has wonderful readings.
Right. Well, also, we should say, in case you are not familiar with the show, the reunion of the brothers brings up some old arguments.
Well, I haven't gotten to that yet. I was saying, so Solomon is going around appraising the furniture, saying, well, you know, these old stuff, you know, it's not going to be worth very much. And he's trying to downplay, and they think it's worth a lot.
And well, it's certainly more than he.
And the other brother shows up, and they've sent notes to him. They've tried to reach him so that he can get his share of this. And and he comes suddenly, and he's dressed in a camel's hair coat, and he's beautifully erect, and he's beautifully coiffed and whatnot. And he's the guy who got to go to college and become a doctor and become wealthy. And he's now divorced, which they didn't know about. And he comes into the scene, and he's takes over the story, and he immediately goes to Solomon and says, don't start doing this. Don't nickel and dime us on this stuff. Some of the stuff is worth something, some of it's not. You got to take it. And he takes over, and the other two are kind of like, she's okay with it because she thinks they're going to get more, and Mark is very upset that he's there at all. And they finally have the collision, the two brothers.
And a few things come out. You think, oh, the brother, the cop brother, he really was wronged, but there is a certain balancing of things, and that does make the play. At this point, Danny DeVito's kind of in the next room sitting it out.
And then he comes in and he says something for 2 seconds and he goes back.
Occasionally for a break.
Yeah, he's off stage for a lot of time.
Certainly, you have some good performances here. All the performers.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was an ensemble. I really thought they worked together.
I agree. You say Danny DeVito stood out and took stage. Not so much, as far as I was concerned. I liked his performance, but I think when you say ensemble,
I didn't mean that he took it over. I meant that when he was on stage, he took focus for that point. But yes, I apologize if I meant that. I implied that.
It is, it's a good work. I don't think it's one of Arthur Miller's great works.
It's a very accessible work. You don't have to dig too deep to get. We've all been somewhere in that equation, and or we're about to be, or and so it rings true, I think, in terms of the human equations that are in the play.
I agree. The way that things evened out.
Right. And I'm surprised that not only did none of those people get nominated for anything. I feel that the show that did get nominated has an enormous ensemble. I don't think you can have a 10-person ensemble.
What are we talking about now?
The Dramatesque Awards, the nominations.
I
think my personal feeling is that
we're a little low on time, so we kind of have to.
Okay, well, really fast. This is the last thing we're going to talk about.
I know, but we have 30 seconds.
Okay, what are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it 3 1/4. I think maybe 3.5.
I give it 4. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I thought it was well directed. It was directed by. Is this Sam? Terry Kinney from Steppenwolf. Terry Kinney.
And certainly the set, Derek McLean.
Yeah, I really believe this was a family.
And that is our show for tonight. Go see it for yourself if you don't take our word for it. When you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle.